Did you ever hear the saying, comparison is the thief of joy? I always hear a lot of people that are telling me that they want to do something, that they want to become successful, that they want to better their life, but they can't do it because they don't have this and that, because somebody else is better, because somebody else is more pretty, because whatever reason. They tell themselves these lies and they actually believe it. So today I want to share with you guys on how you can actually stop comparing yourself, because comparison is the thief of all the joy, of all the blessings that you want to achieve. Because if you're constantly comparing yourself, you're giving away power. Hi, my name is Alina and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you guys my tips on how I stopped comparing myself. Because when I was little, when I was younger, I used to always compare myself. Always. I used to be jealous of people that, maybe I thought they have more kind parents than I have, or that they were born wealthier than I was, or that had a bigger room or a bigger house. And I used to really get devastated from that, honestly, until I realized that I have no reason to compare myself. Nobody has a reason to compare yourself, because in the end, it is your life that you're living. You walk on your own path, you have your own story, you have your own past, your own mistakes, your own blessings, your own potential. Every human being has their own potential. Every human being has talents somebody else does not have. Somebody lived a certain past that can inspire somebody else, which I can share. I can share something that you might not be able to share, right? So every single person has its own unique talents and abilities, and you don't need to compare yourself, because by doing that, you're taking away power from yourself and giving that to somebody else, or just leaving it nowhere. So I want to help you guys today to actually find back to yourself and realize your own true potential, because it's not about being prettier or being better or being this or this or that. Like, no, you don't even need to reach a certain level in order to do something. You just gotta go out there and do it. Because in the end, guys, like, nobody cares about any mistakes that you're making. Nobody cares. Nobody will actually remember those times where you felt like, oh my God, I'm not doing enough, I'm not good enough, somebody else is better than I am. No, nobody remembers that. Nobody thinks about you like this. Most of the time, we're so fearful and afraid of possible mistakes that we could make, while other people are literally watching us and thinking, wow, they're afraid of your potential. I see so many people, guys. I've been working for the past 3 years with people, coaching them. And I see a lot of times where I see so much potential in people, but they don't believe in themselves. They can't see it. They used to just compare themselves to every single person all the time. This is what's stopping them. Because if you're comparing yourself to other people, it's like you're getting paralyzed. Like you can't move, like you just watch around and you're not focused on yourself. You're just watching all the other people, judging and being jealous and being envious and being negative. You're in a negative headspace by having that comparison. And it's not necessary. It's just simply not necessary. Because as I said, everyone has its own potential and nobody else walked in your shoes. Nobody else has the talents and the abilities that you have. So while you are thinking about somebody else has this and this, what I don't have, you have other things that that person doesn't have. Did you ever think about it like this? So many times I heard from people, oh my God, you have it so easy, you're pretty. Honestly, guys, pretty privilege. It's so freaking out these days. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you're pretty or not. What matters is your values. And every single person has values. Every single person has a story to share. Just most people should choose to not share it instead of comparing themselves to other people, which is just so not necessary. I'll tell you guys today on how I actually overcame that comparison, because it truly is stealing all your joy and all your happiness by constantly comparing yourself. So, first thing is, stop scrolling on social media and being envious of what you don't have right now. That is a huge thing, guys, because I used to scroll on social media always thinking like, wow, this person has this and that. This person is always traveling. This person, has it all. It seems to be so lucky. Wow, she must be so lucky. She probably has a rich boyfriend. Like, I started to just hate on people like low-key, right? But then I realized, wait a minute, I don't know that person. I don't know their story. I don't know why they have what they have. I don't know, maybe they worked hard for it. And now that I look back on what I actually achieved and how sometimes people judge me and talk to me like, oh, you're so lucky, I worked my ass off. But I started to focus on myself. Instead of watching other people, instead of scrolling and like hating, I imagined myself being that person. I imagined myself being those places. I imagined myself, having the money and traveling around the world. I imagined myself, and instead of being envious about that person or of that person that had that what I wanted, I was inspired instead. So instead of comparing yourself to other people, get inspired by other people. You can change the meaning of that story. You can, instead of, being like, oh, what has this person, what I don't have? Ask yourself, what is that person doing that I am not doing? And what can I do to get more like that, to do more of what that person does in order to get what that person has, right? Because in the end, guys, it is literally just about what you're doing, how much you're believing into yourself. And instead of focusing on everybody else and like pointing the fingers, looking into the mirror, being vulnerable with yourself, being true to yourself, and taking responsibility. That is what it does to stop comparing yourself. You look into the mirror, you're accepting yourself, you're being like, hey, this is me, this is what I can do, this is my story, this is what I'm about to do, and then you're actually going to go out and do it. So, stop comparing yourself, start getting inspired. This is what you can do. Look at, think about who do you want to become, and then look at people that have exactly what you want to have, that are who you want to be. And then start becoming that person. Stop comparing yourself and thinking like, I can't achieve this because of this and these reasons. Like, no. You have all the potential in the world. You have everything that you need already within yourself. So by comparing yourself, you will only lose that ability and that access to your own true potential, because you're constantly just thinking about other people's potential instead of your own. That's it. The next thing is start clapping for others. You know what? Before I started my business, it was really hard for me to be really happy for other people. Like, I was not like, I hated them for being successful or something like that. I was never that envious or jealous of people. But I was just like, I was disappointed in myself. That was the right feeling. When I saw somebody else win, I was really disappointed within myself. I thought, man, oh my God, like I'm such a loser. I don't have this, I don't have that, whatever. I was just really devastated, and I turned myself down. But then I realized, hey, you know what? If I start clapping for the people that have what I want, and I start to get inspired by them, and I start to ask them questions on how they achieved what they achieved, maybe I can actually learn something. And with that, I put my ego aside, because sometimes when we're comparing ourselves, we have a really big ego, actually, because we're thinking like, oh, this person has this and that, like, oh, I don't have this, there's the ego in a way. So we need to put that ego aside and become coachable. And by becoming coachable, you start asking questions, you start to, observe rather than judge. You are just basically like Sherlock Holmes. You're watching at people and you're checking what they fulfill, how they act, what they do, and you start implementing some things that you like into your own personality and into your habits. And it takes some time to develop that, guys, but you can do it, because anyone can change. Anyone can step into their full potential. You just need to stop focusing on everybody else, but focus on yourself. Stop looking at everybody else. If it helps you to stop scrolling on social media because you're getting disappointed, then start reading books. That was also a huge, huge thing, guys, because most of the people, they stop learning when they get out of school. You need to start reading books again. You need to start listening to podcasts that can bring you further. You need to start develop your personality, because what makes you irreplaceable is basically just the value that you bring to the table, right? The personality that you can have, the skills, the knowledge, everything. Combine that with your personal story and your true power of who you actually are, and nobody can take that away from you. This is when things get magical, guys, honestly, because you're stepping into your own true self. And nobody is you, and that is your power, right? You don't need to be anybody else. You don't need to compare yourself, wishing and praying that you would be anybody else, that you wish that you were born somebody different. No, you are unique. You are powerful because nobody's like you. Nobody's been through what you've been through. Some stories, yes, they might be similar, but still, nobody walked in your shoes. Nobody felt the way you feel. Nobody does every single day, wakes up and does everything that you do just as you personally do it. So there's a huge power in that. And once you realize that you have that power and that you own it and you reclaim it back to yourself instead of giving your power away by comparing yourself to so many different people, you can change everything in your life. You can really become that person that you used to compare yourself to. And that is really funny, guys, because before I made that transformation for myself, I used to compare myself to that person that I am today, which is really funny. I just had to realize that potential is already within myself. And I needed to stop putting my focus so much on other people and what they have and what they do and feeling sorry for myself. You know, like we like to do this as human beings. We really like to feel sorry for ourselves. And it's so pathetic. It's so pathetic because it makes us feel easy and sorry, and we can, just being depressed all the time. Like, can we just stop that? Like, honestly, life is so beautiful. You have so much to be happy and grateful about. You can count so many blessings on your hands that you literally, you can't count it on 10 fingers if you really think about it. That it's literally just embarrassing how we are constantly bringing ourselves down and comparing ourselves with other people. It's just unnecessary, honestly. So what you need to do is you need to stop comparing yourself. Start to get busy. Most of the time when we're comparing ourselves, we have a lot of time on our hands, because I don't scroll on social media all day looking at other people and being like, oh my God, their life must be so perfect, being envious and jealous. No, I focus on myself. I develop myself. Every single day I'm working on myself. No, it's not always easy, but I develop my personality, my skill sets, my knowledge, and I pour so much attention onto myself. I literally don't know how people have time to focus so much on others because I'm literally obsessed with myself. I'm obsessed with myself. I watch my own story 10 times a day. I watch my own YouTube videos. I think I'm so funny. Sometimes I'm actually laughing out loud when I watch sometimes my videos and I made a joke or something. I am literally obsessed with myself. Like a healthy obsession. I'm not full of myself. I'm not arrogant. I'm humble. I do know that I have so much more to learn. I do know that I have so much more to learn, that there's so many people out there who are probably better than me, who are probably prettier than me, but I don't care because I like myself the way I am, because I'm working on myself every single day. I put a lot of attention and energy into my own personal growth and into developing myself and working on myself, whatever it might be. It can be working out, it can be doing your skincare, it can be literally doing your hair, and it can be anything. But the more attention you put on yourself and less attention you put on other people, you will realize that the comparison that you usually used to do will get less and less and less with time, because comparison is just a habit. Comparing yourself is literally just a habit, and you can get rid of your habits. It's just the way how you've been programmed. Probably, and that is something that, maybe a lot of people struggle with that have siblings, but if you got compared as a child to your sibling, this is maybe why you're constantly comparing yourself to other people. Most of the things that we're struggling with, we developed in our childhood. Let's be honest. We just all got traumatized at one point. Okay. So I usually got compared to my sister, and my sister also got compared to me. And now we literally both have our own trauma or our own, belief systems based on she's better than I am, right? And we kind of like want to prove ourselves, or we don't feel good enough or whatever. And that's not good, because as siblings, like, you should stick together. You should help each other. You should encourage each other. You should clap for each other. You should, support and just grow together and love each other unconditionally. This is what we used to do. And even like other people, it's not only your siblings. Like, we should love each other unconditionally and stop being jealous and envious of each other, because that is so much, like, that is a low vibe. That is a low frequency, guys. You can literally see it on the frequency chart. Like, jealousy and envious and guilt, these are, like, shame, these are all very, very low frequency vibes. So if you're not getting the life that you want, you just have to check how you're feeling all the time. If you're comparing yourself a lot, you're probably in the downward spiral of vibration. And this is why you're not attracting better. This is why you're not, living the life that you want to live. This is why you don't have what you want to have. Not the right friendships, not the right relationships, not the right jobs or business. It can be anything. But as long as you keep on being in this downward spiral, in this lower vibration and frequency of constantly comparing yourself and being judgmental and being, envious of people, you will never reach the top unless you start focusing on yourself, stop comparing yourself to other people, and rather pouring all that energy and that attention onto yourself. Of course, don't become arrogant in the process, like, oh, I'm just so much better than everyone else. No. Be humble with it, right? Because we never finish learning. There's so many people we can learn from, so many people that can teach us, right? Especially like older people. I feel like sometimes we're so full of ourselves that we really forget to listen to, for example, our grandparents. A lot of the times, our grandparents are actually right with a lot of things. We're just not listening, but they have so much life experience. Like, start to talk to people that lived a lifetime already, Sometimes when I need an advice, I don't ask my friends. I actually ask my grandma, because my grandma or my grandpa, they have so much life experience that they probably can give me an answer or an advice based on what is right with the morals, with ethics, with value, with just like a more pure answer than somebody who is affected and influenced by social media, by all the other circumstances, about probably comparing that himself to somebody else and being judgmental as well. I think like in our generation, we're so focused on social media and what's going on in the world, looking at everybody else, that we sometimes just forget to look on ourselves and to actually really progress in life. Because no progress is made by you looking at other people all the time. Start clapping for other people. Become happy for them. You can literally practice that. When I started my business, there were a lot of people more successful than I was. And you know what I did? I was clapping for them. I was their cheerleader. And that's what I do for my friends as well. If some of my friends, they have an idea, they want to do something, I clap for them. I support them. I'm the biggest cheerleader, because that's how I like to be treated. That's how I want them to feel. I want them to feel good. I'm not envious about their achievements. I want them to be happy and their best self, right? And this is also why I'm doing what I do, because I just love helping people. I just love pouring into other people. But at the same time, I also need to pour in myself. Sometimes I need to take a step back and focus on myself, because if I focus too much on other people, I shift that energy again. So I need to take it back to myself and start working on myself more so I can pour out even more. But you always need to pour in your own cup first before you can give out to people. So if you want to be somebody that is helping people, or helping people achieve something, being a coach or a mentor, whatever you want to be, you need to make sure that you're putting a lot of energy towards yourself and your own improvement, because you can never be that person for somebody else unless you are that person for yourself. And that's the same with relationships as well. You need to love yourself first before you can love anybody else. And that's really funny, because a lot of people, they beg, literally, they beg, and they're so pathetic with like begging for other people's attention and their love and their appreciation. No, you need to give it to yourself first. And you need to stop comparing yourself. Thinking like, oh, somebody else is more pretty or better than I am, has a better voice, has a better this, better that. Like, no. you have what you have. You are who you are, but you can be so much more if you just start working on yourself and stop comparing yourself to other people. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror and count the things that you really like on yourself. Most of the time when we look in the mirror, you know what we do? We judge. We judge ourselves. Do you even realize that? That most of the time when we go to the mirror, instead of admiring our beauty and our strength and our health, we're just trying to find things to criticize. This is so toxic. So if you want to stop comparing yourself, because by judging you, like looking into the mirror and judging yourself and finding things to criticize, what do you usually think about? You think about a person that has the perfect body, the perfect, face, the perfection in like what eye? Who is deciding what is perfect and what is not, right? Who's deciding what is beautiful and what is not? Like, you should feel beautiful in your own skin, no matter what anybody else has to say, no matter what any society says, what social media says. Like, you need to look into the mirror and appreciate yourself and admire yourself, and stop comparing yourself to a certain image or to a certain, like, just feeling pressured all the time to raise up to a certain image that society created. You know how many times society changed their rules of what is pretty and what is not? Because everyone has beauty on its own. Everyone has something somebody else doesn't have. You have something that I don't have. I have something that you don't have. So you need to be okay and being grateful for what you do have, because that is your power. That is always your power. Your power always lies within yourself. But by comparing yourself, you're literally degrading your power. You're disregarding your power. You're disregarding your potential completely, because you're just judging yourself and criticizing yourself. And just because somebody maybe criticized you in the past or judged you in the past or compared you in the past, this is why you have the need to compare yourself in the future over and over and over again, hurting yourself, because this is what you do. You're hurting your soul by comparing yourself all the time. You need to stop that, because with that, you're just neglecting yourself. So find ways on how, instead of comparing yourself, you can actually become inspired. Start to, remind yourself of being happy for other people, and focus on yourself. Focus on your improvement of what you can do every single day to get better. Because comparing, guys, it's literally just being lazy. Comparison is being lazy. Like, you sit on the couch scrolling on social media all day, being like, oh my God, she flies private jet. She probably has a sugar daddy. Oh my God, she has such nice clothes. She must be having rich parents that just spoil her, and all these kind of things, like negative things, being in that low vibration. But you're sitting on the couch being lazy instead of reading a book, listening to a podcast, watching videos, working on yourself, doing shadow work, healing your trauma, thinking on asking yourself, why do you feel the need to compare yourself? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think, instead of, oh my God, why is this person better than me? Hey, why do I feel the need to compare myself to that person that is maybe not even better than me? I'm just naturally thinking that way. Where is that comparison coming from? And then think about it, where that comparison started. And usually, yes, guys, it is in the childhood. That means that you're probably just being programmed by somebody that was not treating you right, and that you need to break that cycle. It is just a pattern. Every single thought, every single habit, every single thing that we do, feel, act, it is all just a part of our paradigm, of our program, how we've been programmed and conditioned over the years of, creating these patterns of habits and thoughts and feelings, and our entire belief system. So if you are comparing yourself, start asking yourself, where's that coming from? Where does it stem from? What was the cause? Because most of the time we're only trying to heal the symptoms and the issues, but not the cause. You need to go down to the root of the issue. Start list situations where you feel like you have to compare yourself, where you feel like you have to make yourself like look better than anybody else. Don't compare yourself. Your story is your story. Your potential is your potential, and nobody is you. And that is literally your power. You know, when I made the decision to talk about my story, and I decided to, talk about something that was really uncomfortable for me, I was also thinking like, do I know anybody that is talking about these kind of things? Maybe, people will judge me. I tried to compare myself to like celebrities that were through a similar situation. But you know what? In the end, I just decided for myself that I want to share my story because of the meaning that I put behind sharing my story, which is encouraging other people to share their stories and to speak up for themselves and to not let anybody treat you a certain way and to just truly find yourself and become your best version by really healing your past and your trauma and, by going through all this progress to really become that person that you truly want to be. So many people, they don't even know who they want to be. They will never reach their full potential because all they do is just constantly comparing themselves to other people. Isn't that sad? Like, we have so much more in us. So you need to really figure out where's that coming from. And every single time that you catch yourself comparing yourself to somebody else, you need to stop yourself and tell yourself, hey, I don't need to compare myself, and start listing things that you appreciate about yourself. Start practicing going to the mirror and start listing things you appreciate on yourself. Wow, I have such nice hair. I like my body. I like my eyes. Like, stop looking for things that you can judge and criticize. Stop completely criticizing yourself. I have so much potential. Tell yourself that. I have so much potential. I need to step in my potential. I am stepping in my potential. Use these affirmations every single day, and it will become and create a new pattern, a new habit, a new way of thinking, a whole new entire belief system. This is how you can reprogram yourself. You know what? It should be always you versus you, not you versus anybody else. If you do that, you can never win. But if you do you versus you, if you only play that game, you will always win. You will always win, because even if you do a mistake and you fail, you're learning something, you're progressing, you're elevating, you get better. You know what? Like, sometimes, when I think, oh, I'm 27, I don't have kids yet, I'm not yet living the life I wanted to live or that I imagined for myself. I made a huge step back, like mentally, let's say. But you know what? I'm actually making a step forward, because I am deciding finally that I'm healing my past, that I'm healing my trauma, that I'm healing myself. And that I'm starting to really, truly become that version of myself that I always wanted to be, instead of covering up and trying to, just cover up for all those years where I literally wasn't myself, or I was thinking I was myself. But if I would just look at other people getting married, getting kids, living the life that I wanted to live at that certain age, I would take away my power. I would just give away all that energy for nothing, because I can't change it. I can't change the past. I can't change, myself and my story. I can't change it. The only thing that I can change is my future by being in the present and acting based on what I know, based on what I can do, and by truly getting better. If you truly see that way of you versus you, instead of you versus anyone else, you are reclaiming your power back, and you can really step into your full potential, because then the only focus that you have is you. You don't need to think about anybody else but yourself and about how you can do better. You're gonna just stop judging everyone else around you. You're just gonna stop blaming everyone. You just really, truly are getting close to yourself and your spirit and who you're truly meant to be. And that is freaking powerful. You know, I'm nowhere close where I was imagining myself when I was younger, but at the same time, I was praying for somebody how I am today. You know, I'm proud of myself. I'm so proud of, like, I'm still standing. Like, if I'm imagining, or if I'm like trying to, if I'm comparing myself to somebody else, I don't know what that person has been through. You never know what that person has been through. You don't know their story. You haven't walked in their shoes. So how dare are you comparing yourself to somebody you don't know anything about? That's just bullshit, because you are the person that you know. You are the person closest to you. Only you know what you've been through, what you're thinking, what your beliefs are. Only you lived your life. So how dare do you watch and judge somebody else and compare your life to somebody else's life that you didn't even live? If you lived that life, then you could maybe say, oh, I can't compare myself. But if you didn't live that life, if you haven't walked in that person's shoes, if you don't know their story, you should not compare yourself. You should compare yourself, your today, to your yesterday, to your last year, to your 5 years ago. Ask yourself, did you improve? Did you do anything to improve and do better? Or are you keep on scrolling on social media, judging everybody else and comparing yourself? Because that is not bringing you any further. This is just keeping you trapped in that cycle of not evolving and running in circles. Do you want to keep doing that? If you don't, if you want to break out of that, then you need to compare yourself only to yourself, to your version of yourself yesterday, last year, 5 years ago. And ask yourself, who do you want to be in the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years from now? And start actively working on yourself towards that version of yourself. Not anybody else's version, not anybody else's life, but yours. You are on your own journey, on your own path. You need to learn the lessons on your pace, in your own time frame. I believe in divine timing. Everything happens for me at the perfect time. Yes, I can create my perfect time, because I don't believe that perfect timing actually exists. Like, I create that moment for myself by making an active decision, taking on opportunities and working on myself and making, decisions based on who I want to be and not on who I was, because that is what comparison does. Making decisions that are wrong based on your past, on your experiences that maybe you were compared to somebody as a child, and you're still making these kind of comparisons years and years later. You need to break out of that. So even sometimes when you think you might have not achieved the things that you wanted to achieve just yet, still think about, what did you learn? How much did you grow as a person? How did you get better? If you weren't doing anything, if you don't see any single improvement, then it's just time to get to work and not keep on comparing yourself. You are on your path, and God has everything worked out for you. You are meant to go through the lessons. Last time I heard somebody say, why cannot everything just, work out all the time? It is working out. It is actually working out. It just cannot just be always happy and butterflies and rainbows and just glitter all the time. We have to go through the mud. We have to go through the pain to get to where we need to be. There always needs to be polarity. Sometimes maybe that is even good if I'm thinking about it. Sometimes comparison might be good because it makes you realize who you actually are and that you need to work on yourself. Comparison made me realize, hey, where's that coming from? I don't like to be that person anymore. I don't want to compare myself. I want to be that person. I want to compare my version of today to my version of 5 years ago and be damn freaking proud. So I compare myself to myself of before, who I am now and who I want to be. And then I'm just trying to work on myself every single day. And this is how you can make life so much easier and so much more beautiful, because you're actually appreciating yourself for the talents and abilities that you have, instead of comparing yourself to anybody else, because sometimes maybe that person doesn't have the talent that you have. How do you not know that person is maybe even comparing themselves to you? You don't know. Maybe they are struggling. Maybe they're not even happy with your life. You don't know that. Guys, that was a short little video about how to stop comparing yourself and really truly stepping into your full potential and mastering yourself. If you guys enjoyed this, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment about what you want to hear next about, and I see you guys in my next video. Bye.